What's up, man? How you doing?
Doing good. How about you guys?
Good, man. I
Doing
just
good.
I just actually watched that Ultimate Fighter where you did the flying knee on Mando.
Yep. Came out this week. It's kind of been a crazy week.
Well, congrats on that win.
Thank you. It's weird because it happened like 3 months ago, but like nobody knew it. So it was like
Yeah.
people were like congratulating me, and I'm just like, that was a long time ago,
I guess
Um,
it is kind of wild that like how everything played out, but none of us don't, and then you still got to kind of backtrack to that.
Yeah. Think about where you were at that moment in time.
Yeah, man. So if you want to get started, so one of the first things I was going to ask you, where'd you get your nickname, the Renegade?
I got it in college. It was actually the junior college I went to. Um, it was the mascot was the Renegades, and when I got to the 4-year college after the junior college, um, me and some of the guys on the wrestling team started talking. Like we just kind of made, I don't know, like a lifestyle, like what a renegade is, like, and like what that meant to us. Like, what does it mean to live like a renegade? And it kind of became a running joke, but it also, I don't know, just kind of embodied myself. So when I started fighting, that just kind of stayed with me because it started outside of fighting that we were renegades and like what that meant, and then it just kind of stuck with me with the fighting.
Cool, man. So how did you like being on Michael Chandler's team for the Ultimate Fighter?
I liked it a lot. I was happy at the time of it all going down and getting choosing teams and stuff. I didn't really care all that much, but in retrospect, looking back on the whole experience, definitely happy with where I landed.
Cool, man. I'd be wearing a Michael Chandler hat, but I can't afford his walk-on gear. His hats are too expensive, so I'm wearing a Conor McGregor one.
Ah, yeah, these hats are legit though, but they are expensive. I know, but
Yeah.
they're good to like. Usually, if I have hats that I want to like work out in, like if I'm doing strength and conditioning or going on a run, I still like to wear a hat. I wear a hat other than when I'm doing like jujitsu or striking. Like pretty much always have a hat on. I teach PE, so I always got a hat on.
Yeah.
And so he sent me a couple of these. But what's cool about them is that they don't like get the and stuff.
Okay.
That's key.
And then when you do wash them, like I washed them after like a week because I still worked out them like 3 times, just for cleanliness reasons, and they don't get all like jacked up in the wash. Like they stay like, I don't know. I get why they're $70, but I also get why someone would be a little apprehensive to drop $70.
You might have convinced me though. You might have just convinced me.
Yeah, you might have just sold them for us.
I don't know. I don't know if I'd buy one, but they are pretty nice.
Hey, honestly, I like it.
Cool. David, you got anything to add on that?
Yeah, I guess what was like when you got the call, obviously, whether you're on his team or not, like, and you knew you were going to be on this tough with Conor McGregor, kind of what was that feeling? I know, again, you got to go back a few months, but if you can remember anything from that moment you got the news.
Well, I think you just realized, oh, this is going to be bigger than had it been just two kind of random contenders. Anything with him is going to be bigger than life in a lot of ways. It's going to bring more eyeballs. It's going to all that kind of stuff. So I think that we didn't really know who the coaches were going to be. I think we were already in Vegas before the news actually broke, because there was a lot of chatter about different people coaching. And so a lot of rumors and stuff. And I was kind of following some of the guys that were putting stuff out there on Twitter and stuff just because I was curious. And so, yeah, I mean, I guess when I found out McGregor was going to be a part of it, I just knew that the magnitude of the whole thing was going to be bigger than I probably anticipated.
Yeah, for sure.
Do
And
you
then
feel
I guess being on ESPN too, being able to not just on ESPN Plus, but the whole fact of now that they're showing it on ESPN, that probably made it even cooler.
Yeah, for sure. That was definitely the same thought process once I found that out. Same thing.
do you feel like with Michael Chandler's background in wrestling, he was the perfect fit for you, coach wise?
Yeah, just his mentality is more up my alley, like blue collar type of mentality and not really I'm like Connor's a little bit, the stuff in front of the camera and the persona and all that stuff's a little bit too much for me. So, yeah, I think personality wise, training wise, I have a lot of respect for Chandler and as a man outside of the whole fighting stuff, and I don't know if I have that kind of respect for Conor McGregor. So I'm
Yeah,
happy with where I landed.
for
Well, I
sure.
think it was cool with the whole adoption thing too. Like that was a cool part in the show. Watching that the other night when it came out, just kind of how y'all related off that. I feel like that was like a great start of being easy. Like him being your coach, that's just a great way to just further listen to him throughout the program, and you have that bond there the whole time.
Yeah, he's an interesting guy, man. I really did try to just watch him, and you get a sense of why he's so successful at everything he's been successful at. He just puts everything he's got into everything. Like if it was coaching us, then he was like 100% in on that. Like that he dived head in and like didn't cut any corners and was like, I mean, like he just went above and beyond, and it was kind of unexpected. And I ended up just kind of watching him, like how he interacted with people, how he conducted himself, and the amount of effort he put into everything he did. It was pretty motivational for sure.
Awesome, man. How was Ryan Bader?
Vader's funny, man. He's a good dude. He's like always cracking jokes. He's the kind of guy who would like walk by and like give you a nut sack or tap your nut sack or something. Like he's just kind of he's just a character,
Yeah.
always horsing around. But man, I got to move around with him quite a bit, and he's fast, man. For a big guy, he just like moves quick and like, I know he's not like known necessarily for like his striking, but his striking is underrated. Like I was like, dang, this guy's like he's pretty like quick and he understands timing and he's like a rhythm fighter and it was fun to move around with him. I wrestled with him and he wasn't like bearing all of his weight on me. He could have crushed me, but he was a good guy to move around with. I moved around with him just about more than anybody else.
Yeah, for sure. I like Ryan Bader a lot. I just wish Bellator would promote those guys a little bit better, just so more people can, get their eyes on watching Bellator a lot more. Um,
Yeah, I agree. It's kind of weird when you see like Bellator guys. If you're in the sport and like you're a part of the community, that it's a pretty niche market, of guys that are really into it and watch it every week, and not just the UFC but other promotions. So we all know these Bellator guys, but then you like sometimes you feel like they're not getting the recognition they deserve.
yeah, for sure. David, you got anything?
I guess kind of reverting back a little bit. So obviously it's been like 8 years since you were in the UFC, and I know on the show you were talking about kind of you always had a way of like you knew you were getting back. How did you see, I guess, originally your way of getting back? Like before Tough and all that, like you knew, I guess, you were going to get back at some point. Did you see it in the Ultimate Fighter house, or did you see it a different way?
I mean, no, I didn't see it in the Ultimate Fighter house. I don't know how many seasons they've done with veterans. I know obviously the Matt Sarah season, but I don't know if they've done another one. So it's not something that was on my radar that they were going to be doing. And then the Contender Series, they only get like 22-year-old kids to go thing. So it's pretty rare that they give an old guy like me a shot on that. So I was just like short notice, hoping I can get in that way. But I lost a fight to Ray Borg about a year and a half ago. And every time I'd start building a lot of momentum and, stringing together 3 or 4 like that, and then you lose a fight, like it was a good fight, but I lost the decision. And I was kind of like unsure if I had another fight after that. And then I wasn't really sure what I was going to do, like I was tired of fighting on the smaller shows, I fought on some cool shows that paid decent, but like still it's regional MMA for the most part. So, decent is not really you can't really live off the decent like that. So, yeah, I didn't know, man. I honestly wasn't sure if the UFC was even on my radar anymore. I was hoping the PFL was going to have a bantamweight tournament. I remember hoping for that because there's opportunity there. But they just have yet to do it. They've talked about it a little bit, but they've yet to actually pull the trigger on it. So I wasn't sure, man. I didn't know how much longer I was going to fight. I really was just taking it one fight at a time. And talking to my wife and seeing what she thought, about this. And yeah, man, sometimes things come together and you don't really know why they do, but they come together for you. And one way or another, this is the end of my career. I'm either going to go out, riding through the UFC as much as I can, or whatever the case ends up happening. But at least I get to end it, shooting for the stars one last time.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, for sure, man. And you fought in Eagle FC when they were trying to start up, didn't you?
Yeah, I fought Ray Borg in Eagle FC, and now I signed a 4-fight deal with him after that fight. So I was stoked, paying really well, and I was like, oh, this isn't the UFC, but this is kind of a cool new upstart promotion. Khabib's a big part of it. They were signing guys left and right, like Kevin Lee and Rashad Evans actually fought on the card I fought on, and a few other big names. So I was cool with being with them, and then that war broke out with Ukraine, and suddenly everything kind of came to a halt. And the shitty thing about it was that they were really pulling my string a lot. Like, okay, we're gonna have you fight in March, because I fought for him in January, and then March, we're mid-February, and I'm hitting up my manager like, hey man, I haven't got a contract, I don't have an opponent. And then they would say, actually, we're gonna make you fight in June. And then so I started thinking about that, and then all of a sudden, as we get closer to that, I would hit him up again and start putting pressure on him. And we're gonna have you fight in August. It was like literally like 6 months of that, where I was just in the gym all the time. I guess that was a good thing, but I was getting tired of it. And then finally, they released me from it so I can go fight elsewhere. And then I found a quick fight on a regional scene out here on the West Coast, and I fought Francisco Rivera for a title down in LA. And then after that, I really wasn't sure what I was going to do. So, yeah, man, sometimes the stars align.
For sure. And you fought out of the pit, out of SLO County. Is that right?
Yeah, I've been here for about 3 years. Old school gym, man. John Halkelman's old school. Antonio Benuelos, who is a UFC, WEC guy, 125 pounder. He kind of is a head coach for the most part. John Halkelman still is around and like pops in and coaches class sometimes, but it's really Antonio's team. And but a lot of the same coaches are still here. We don't have a big team. It's pretty small and selective, but it's cool, man. I've always liked smaller teams because I feel like you just get a lot more investment from coaches, like
Yeah.
that part of it I like a lot. So almost like boxers, they have like a whole team around them for them. And I kind of like that. Not that I'm like a prima donna or anything. I'm more of a clock in and put my head down kind of guy, but I do like to have like a real relationship with my coaches and build a bond and trust and try to climb the mountain together,
Yeah. Have you been out to Glover's gym, Texture Fitness MMA?
I haven't been out there, but he comes out here a couple times a year, and he usually brings a bunch of Brazilians with him that live out there with them. Different guys. There's a couple 135 pounders actually I get to train with when they come out. So it's cool to still have that connection with him and his guys at his gym. So we get to do a little cross training at least a couple times a year, which is nice.
That's pretty cool. David, you got anything?
I guess reverting back, I think I saw an article or something. I guess were you still like wrestling on the collegiate level when you kind of got into, I guess you're on summer break and got into MMA by your friend. Is that right? Like you took you to an MMA gym?
I literally was staying on my brother's couch for the summer, and I had a buddy from high school wrestle with me, and he said, "Oh, I'm training martial arts down here at this place," and it was like a McDojo kind of place, like the dude was a black belt, but he was like round as looked like a ball, and like he didn't do a whole lot of exercise or anything. Like I went in there and just started sparring, putting on some gloves, no hand wraps, no mouthpiece, just like sparring. And yeah, I liked it. I always got in a lot of fights as a kid, so I knew I liked to fight. But so I took a fight like a week later. I was in the cage making my pro debut. So that was back in 2008, though. It was a different era for MMA. There wasn't an amateur MMA in California. None of that existed. So it was Indian and Native American casinos. I don't think you could say Indian casinos anymore.
It'll be all right.
Yeah.
What are your picks for this weekend? Oliveira or you got Dariush?
I've gotten a chance to train with Dariush quite a few times. I used to go down to Costa Mesa, Huntington Beach a lot, and train down there. Um, I got stories with that guy. He's a savage on the mat. Never got to spar with him, but we always grapple with him, wrestle with him. And so obviously I'm gonna root for him. But as far as like just a prediction, I feel like Dariush, man, he puts himself in so much danger because he just doesn't care. Like he's a savage. Like he literally has like a savage mindset. Like
he walks forward like
he's gonna kill you or be killed. He does not care. Like, and that's freaking fun to watch. I love it, you know. But when you're fighting like a sniper like Oliveira, now I really hope, regardless of what happens, I really hope we get to see these two guys on the ground together, because that would be, you'd have some great exchanges between them. And I actually do think that Dariush poses a lot of problems for Islam. I think he's not a guy who's going to get taken down and just held down for 5 rounds. Like, his ground game is some of the best in the game. And so I think that'd be an interesting fight. So I'm rooting for him. But yeah, man, I don't know. You can't just walk forward like that against Oliveira, I think, at least. I don't know. We'll find out.
Yeah, no, it's gonna be. I think it's gonna be a really good fight. What about main event? You got Nunes winning that?
I like Aldana a lot, man. I love her boxing. I like that. I kind of came up in like a Mexican boxing gym in the Central Valley of California. So I love that attitude, that style. And she's long and lanky, and she just is crisp with her strikes. And so I think, but Nunez just hits so hard, you know?
Yeah.
She hits like a dude, you know? And that could be the X factor, you know?
Yeah.
She might eat some shots, and it might be relatively competitive on the feet, but I just think eventually she's going to clip her. And I actually fought on the same card as Amanda Nunes when she lost to Kat Zingano way back at UFC 170. And she was beating her ass, and then she gassed out, just like with Juliana Pena, same kind of thing.
Mm-hmm.
But if you look at the time she's gassed out like that, it's usually when she is forced to mix the striking with the grappling. And she, you know, the lactic acid builds up and she blows her tank. But against a girl like Aldana, who's predominantly a striker, I don't know if that's going to be the case. And so, yeah, if I had to put money on it, I'd still say Nunez. But I do like Aldana. I think she's one of the girls that you watch, you're like, you got to respect her skills, you know?
Yeah, for sure.
For sure.
Are you currently a high school teacher?
I was at high school for 8 years, and then this year I took a job at the middle school. I went from teaching AP history and to, you know, really smart kids and senior economics to teaching junior high PE this year. So it's been a shift, but yeah, I've been a teacher for 8 years, and I substitute taught for a lot of years before that, and done a lot of wrestling coaching and stuff like that.
Okay,
That's
cool.
awesome. Yeah.
Cool, man. Is there anything else you want to add?
Who, me?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, I don't know. I hope you guys are enjoying the show. You know, it's interesting for me to see it, how they edit it and how it's kind of put together. I felt like this last episode was better than the first. You know, it was more entertaining. So I hope you guys enjoyed it. I'm also trying to get used to all this social media stuff. When I was in the UFC the last time, like, everybody just had a Facebook to talk to like their aunt from out of state, but nobody like like, things have changed. So I get all these messages from people. I'm like overwhelmed by it, which is, it's cool, you know, to get support or people tell you like, hey, your story connected with me. Like, it's cool, man. It's awesome. But I just feel compelled to respond to everybody. And like, especially if someone tells you like some heartfelt thing about themselves and like a connection they made to your story. And so I've been a little bit overwhelmed this week with it all, but yeah, it's been fun, I guess.
Well, I appreciate you taking the time
Awesome.
to do this.
Yeah, we knew you'd probably be very busy. That's why in the email we're like, we know you're busy, so we get it if you can't. So we are appreciative that you were able to stop by and kind of give us a little bit of time.
Oh yeah, no problem. Love talking MMA with guys.
Appreciate it, man. Yeah. Well, and
Yeah,
you're
man.
welcome on anytime you want to come on. Let us know.
All right, we'll do.
All right,
All right, man. You have a good one.
Thanks, guys. Take care.
Yeah,
Have a
of
good
course.
night.
Take
See you,
care.
man.